Ashe. As he is restored.
We are going to ask the President to give us the concluding remarks. Comrade President,
National Chairperson, Comrade Gwede Mantashe, Deputy President, Comrade David Dabete Mabuza, officials of the African National Congress, TG Paul Mashatile, former President Thabo Mbeki, former Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe, members of the National Executive, leadership of the South African Communist Party and the Congress of South African Trade Unions, leadership of the ANC Women's League, of the ANC Youth League, of the ANC Veterans League, leadership of SASCO, ministers and deputy ministers, metro mayors and leaders of SALGA, deployed colleagues and comrades and friends. I extend my greetings to all of you this afternoon. We've come to the end of our LEKGOTLA, held at a critical point in the history of our country. We received the news of the passing away of the leader of the National Freedom Party, and former Deputy Minister Ms. Zanele Kamagwaza Msibi, with great sadness. Our deepest condolences are extended to her family and her loved ones and her party as well. The movement further extends condolences to the families and loved ones of all persons who have passed away since our last meeting. And we include in this Comrade Kebi Mapatswe, who passed away and was buried just yesterday, where the national chairperson represented us. We've also received and taken note of the decision by the Correctional Services, National Commissioner, to release Comrade Jacob Zuma from incarceration on medical parole. We welcome this. We've heard that he is not well, and we'd like to wish him quick recovery as he is restored back to his home to be with his loved ones. LEKGOTLA provide an opportunity for the leadership of the ANC, the Alliance and broader democratic movement to discuss the challenges facing the country, to assess the effectiveness of our plans and programs, and where necessary, to change our programs to meet the needs of our people. In the course of the last 3 days, we've taken a critical, in-depth look at the implementation of our electoral mandate. We have identified the areas where progress has been made and areas where there are clear shortcomings. We have reaffirmed that the central task of the moment is to create jobs, and more jobs, and more jobs. It is also to reduce poverty. The COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically deepened poverty, inequality, and has increased the numbers of the unemployed people in our country, especially young people. In addition, crime, corruption, and the erosion of state capacity have contributed to a sense of insecurity among South Africans and has weakened our ability to respond to the challenges facing our country. As we intensify the fight to overcome COVID-19, it is therefore imperative that we undertake extraordinary measures to rebuild and transform our economy and to improve the capacity of the state. The depth of the challenge we face and the extent of the deprivation in our society means that we have to act with greater purpose and focus so that we can stimulate growth in our economy and create employment opportunities as a matter of great urgency. This LEKGOTLA has agreed that we must do more at a much faster pace if we are going to address the pressing needs of our people. We undertake these tasks at a difficult time for our movement as we grapple with the challenge of fundamental renewal and rebuilding. We do so in full appreciation and understanding that the situation in the country and in the state of our movement have given rise to some frustration as well as disillusionment. This is not the time for any of us to throw up our arms in despair and total frustration. This is the time to recommit ourselves to building our country and to act with decisiveness. our challenges are not insurmountable. And if we work together and with the determination that is required, we will surely succeed and we will prevail. A strong and united ANC is critical for the effective functioning of government, and it is also crucial for social cohesion throughout the country. While the movement is facing challenges, this LEKGOTLA has resolved to intensify our efforts to strengthen unity and renew our organization. And the good thing with this LEKGOTLA, as with many others, is that the discussions have taken place with the full participation of our allies, of all our leagues, and our student formations as well. The world has been living with the coronavirus pandemic since the beginning of 2020. Restrictions on movement and social interaction, and sadly, the high numbers of infections and loss of life associated with COVID-19 have caused immense trauma to our society and our people. With the arrival of COVID-19 vaccines, we now have within our reach the means to achieve greater freedom of movement, more economic activity, and less restricted social interaction. Vaccinating most adults is a crucial component to the success of our economic recovery, and the ANC government and various other sections of society are intensifying the campaign to urge every eligible South African to be vaccinated. We must be more proactive, and the movement must mobilize a wide range of stakeholders and influential voices in society to assist government in consistently highlighting the safety of the vaccines and their efficacy in protecting people against serious illness and death. In addition, we must continue to adhere to the non-pharmaceutical measures of wearing masks, maintaining physical distance, ensuring proper ventilation wherever we are, and continuously washing our hands regularly. Developing countries continue to pursue various strategies to acquire the means to produce COVID-19 vaccines. And this also has included the proposal that our country, as well as India, made to the world, and more particularly to the World Trade Organization, that there should be a waiver of aspects of the agreement of the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, which is called TRIPS. That this should be allowed to be waived so as to enable developing economy countries to be able to produce their own vaccines. And this would allow South Africa and countries of the South to build the necessary capacity to produce medication and other consumables, as well as to develop domestic manufacturing and job creation capacity. The pandemic has revealed the extent of poverty and deprivation in our society in much starker terms than ever before. It has also become much clearer that, like many other parts of the world, South Africa, in dealing with this pandemic and the effects of this pandemic, must become bolder, it must become more innovative and creative in its approach to economic policy, to the interventions that we need to take to address the pervasive levels of poverty and inequality. Many countries around the world are relooking their policy positions, and in some countries, those policy positions could have been very conservative. They are looking at them, tweaking them, changing them, with a view of aligning them with what needs to be done to address COVID-19 consequences and to rebuild their economies. The same must obtain with us. And obviously, we are different from many other countries. We will have to craft what we need to do in accordance with our own circumstances. Working with our alliance partners and social partners, more broadly, the ANC is determined to accelerate the implementation and deepen the impact of the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan that we announced last year. We will continue to implement structural reforms and promote local productive activity to grow our economy more quickly and stimulate more investment and employment. The increased role of the digital platforms in our economic lives is expected to persist even beyond the pandemic, as more and more social, economic, governance and supply chain interactions move to the digital sphere. Enabling universal access to broadband should be the approach to the release of the spectrum and other digital technologies, so that the development of the digital economy that has proven to be so beneficial to a number of economies around the world, that it is inclusive and sustainable in our own country. Government must find mechanisms to fast-track South Africa Connect project in a cost-effective manner. And it is for this reason that we also, in regard with the spectrum, we're calling on the various role players to add speed and urgency to their deliberations to find a solution to the issue of releasing the spectrum. In the development of industrial capacity, with regard to dealing with COVID-19, we've taken on this challenge, and we have responded in quite a creative manner as South Africa. We've already developed the good capacity to produce ventilators on a large scale. And with the production now of vaccines, we've also now moved to a higher level. About 25 million doses of the J&J vaccine was completed at the Aspen plant in the Eastern Cape. And more than half of these have been released to the market. Production is now mainly going to be for South Africa and the rest of our continent going forward. BioVac received a commitment from Pfizer and BioNTech from Germany to produce their vaccine in South Africa. And this is going to scale up to over a number of 100 million doses. And the South African firm is now getting ready to retool so that it can produce these vaccines. So capabilities have now been added to what we've been doing in the past. The country's localization campaign is showing results as well, beyond the COVID industrial products too. These range from production of pots, pans, and a number of other products that also have to do with the automotive industry. Efforts have been made to enable SMEs and black industrialists to enter more industrial sectors of the economy, and our master plan rollout is gathering pace and momentum. These efforts have benefited from close collaboration with companies, business associations, and trade unions. Construction has started on a special economic zone to manufacture components for the auto industry in Tshwane, and the first 4 black-owned firms have been supported with money from the Auto Industry Transformation Fund. The new Mercedes-Benz model, made in Buffalo City, was launched in June of this year with higher local content, including in dashboard and vehicle panels, moldings. Toyota announced the production of the first green hybrid vehicle and retooling the factory for the first Corolla hybrid vehicle with a combination petrol and electric motor engine, with production expected in November of this year. So there has been progress, and progress continues. There continues to be significant demand on government to continue with and also to expand income support measures for those living in poverty. Further work needs to be done towards the achievement of the comprehensive social security to ensure that all South Africans can live in comfort and dignity. This necessarily requires better alignment and linkages between social security policies and labor market policies so that beneficiaries of social support can move more rapidly into employment. Subject to long-term affordability, serious consideration, the LEKGOTLA said, should be given to extending further support to the unemployed and to those who are structurally marginalized, possibly in the form of an extension of the COVID-19 Special Relief of Disaster Grant, targeted food poverty line support, or even we should consider a basic income grant. And we should also consider a combination of all this with mass employment that will create more work for our people. So all this will need to be considered, and it will be based on the affordability. We are taking steps to reduce the regulatory burden on small, medium, and micro enterprises. The LEKGOTLA stressed that this must be done without any further waste of time, because it is the small, medium enterprises that create and should create the most jobs. And currently, many players in the small, medium enterprise sector complained that they are strangled, they are debilitated by the burden of regulations, of a whole number of permitting system, and a whole number of fees that need to be paid when some of them want to trade, they want to make goods, and they want to provide service, and may not be able to navigate their way around the regulatory burden. In doing this and correcting this and repositioning small medium enterprises, we will include informal traders, and we will make sure that they are not subjected to unfair regulatory requirements. Our fiscal constraints mean that we must set clear priorities, focus on measures which will have the greatest social and economic impact. Now, the LEKGOTLA also took time to discuss the issue of climate change and felt and decided that climate change presents a range of geopolitical, security, economic and social risks and opportunities for our country and the world. We must be resolute in ensuring that we engage with those risks that arise, but as well as the opportunities in a manner that advances South Africa's national and developmental interests in all respects. LEKGOTLA said that transitioning to a low-carbon, ecologically friendly and socially sustainable economy presents opportunities to our country to create jobs. Some of them will be new jobs. It presents opportunities for inclusion and growth in some of the following sectors: in the renewable energy side, in the grid construction, in the manufacturing of renewable components, in battery storage, in green vehicles, and green hydrogen, while assisting us to further our environmental protection objectives. In this regard, the just energy transition proposed by Eskom presents, as we know, Eskom is the biggest supplier of energy, and the transition that Eskom has presented or proposed presents a possible immediate opportunity to reduce our CO2 footprint. It also presents us with an opportunity to increase our energy security by ramping up renewable generation and to take advantage of concessional financing for power station repurposing and explore ways to develop new jobs, new industries, and also foster economic inclusion. The LEKGOTLA welcomed the detailed planning Eskom has done for a just energy transition at one power station, ensuring that workers and the community will be assured and advanced of well-being, and that there will be a just transition there. The just transition also offers enormous potential for our mining sector, where we have advantages in the platinum, lithium, and other sectors. We will intensify work on the hydrogen economy, which includes hydrogen-powered fuel cell electric vehicles, where South Africa has a competitive advantage. Infrastructure development, the LEKGOTLA noted, is the backbone of economic progress. LEKGOTLA said, we must therefore aggressively expand social and economic infrastructure to meet the needs of the economy and the South African people at large. This includes new investments in renewable energy, mining, water and sanitation, roads and bridges, human settlements, health and education, the digital infrastructure, as well as public transport. To further strengthen the massive rollout of infrastructure, and LEKGOTLA said, we must increase community participation in a